From the University of San Diego High School, welcome to High School Championship Basketball. I'm Mike Benson along with Greg Porter. We're here for George Langevin Productions. We'll follow all the action with you tonight. It's the Dons going up against Santa Margarita. The Eagles traveling down. They were the Southern Section 3 AA winners, and the Dons actually won here the San Diego section. So it looks to be an exciting game. I know you got a chance, Greg, to talk with the coaches for Santa Margarita. What is maybe a basic philosophy for them coming into this game?
Well, what they want to try and do is control the tempo of the game. Defensively, they're going to throw a lot of things against the Dons. They'll use the full court press. They'll use the zone trap. They'll use everything they can to try and see if they can stop Josh Merrill and company of University of San Diego High School.
And speaking of Josh Merrill and company, they've just hit the court. You hear the crowd going wild. So sit back, get ready for an exciting one here in the semifinals of the Southern Regional. We'll be back in a moment for the starting lineups and the tip-off coming your way. Set to get underway here at the University of San Diego High School. You're watching the Division III Southern California Regionals, the semifinals. It's the University of San Diego High School Dons. They're in white. They're going against the Santa Margarita Eagles. They're in blue. The Dons will go left to right on our video dial. They come into tonight's ball game with overall record of 27-3. They were 14-0 in the Western League. On the other hand, the Eagles 25-6 overall. They finished 12-2, winning first place in the Seaview League. So Josh Merle to jump it up against Brad Finneran will gradually, you heard the starting lineup before the game, will gradually reiterate that information to you as well as the crowd goes wild and we're underway. Matt Bryan, the 5'9" junior point guard, he quarterbacks this squad, has done a nice job all year long, gets it out to Tony Gutierrez here on the near perimeter. Clint Cummings top side. Josh Merle, topside as well, works it back to Matt Bryan. Bryan over to Gutierrez. They'll give all the players an opportunity to get their hands on the ball before they throw up a shot. Cummings, the last player in the offense to get it in his hands, as Bryan fakes, gets it out to Cummings. They might call a charge, and they do. Charging violation going up against Matt Bryan. And the Dons immediately administer a man-to-man full-court press here. As Brad Finneran's twin brother, Brian Finneran, takes up across the timeline, works it to Dennis Keene, the 6'1" sophomore, and a little give and go, and that one just getting away from Brian Scoggin. Let's take a look at the starters once again. Matt Bryan, the starter as the point guard, Tony Gutierrez and Clint Cummings as off guards, and Josh Merle and Scott Ferris generally in the front court. But they'll rotate around. In the last game, we'll talk about in a moment, they actually ran a four corners offense, a turnaround. Josh Merle, the first to get on the board tonight. He comes into tonight's game averaging over 20 points per game. He's in double figures in rebounding. We mentioned in the opening round of the Southern Regional game how Josh has basically broken every record this school has as far as scoring. And speaking of Josh, he comes down with that rebound. He's broken most of the records in his school as Matt Bryan hustles it across the timeline. Works on the near side to Tony Gutierrez, back top side to Clint Cummings. Cummings looking to drive against Dennis King, decides against it as he works out to Scott Ferris. Looking inside to Gutierrez, decides to come back out to Merle. Works it back top side to Bryan, and Clint Cummings will set things up from the backcourt. Just underway here in the semifinal. Gutierrez finding an opening. Couldn't get a shot to fall. Brought down by Brendan Mulligan, the 6'3" junior, as he gives way to Keene. And looking to go baseline, and a nice left-handed layup by Brian Finneran. A nice athletic move there.
Yeah, it was a nice athletic move for Brian Finneran. He just took Josh Merrill to the glass, and he scored.
And a nice steal there. Here come the Eagles. They tried to get that one inside to Scoggin. That one thrown over his head. And Clint Cummings working hard on the defensive end. That shot from the top of the key and brought down by Brendan Mulligan. Tried to go up with a follow. Was unable to get a shot to connect. He'll go to the free throw line, and he'll have an opportunity to shoot two shots. In other opening round play, Garden Grove Pacifica defeated Anaheim Servite 70-55, and Santa Margarita 75-73 winners over San Dimas. Actually led by more than 10 points in that game at one time, and San Dimas kept gradually coming back. And Santa Margarita able to go over the top. Brendan Mulligan connects on both. 4-2, 5.5 minutes left in the opening quarter as Matt Bryan works it against two defenders, hustles it across the timeline. Tony Gutierrez looks to take it down the lane with his left hand, switches to his right hand in the air, tries to go up for the follow, unable to gather it in. And the Eagles in blue going right to left on our video dial will have possession here again as Brian Finneran, he's 6'5", brings it up court. Whips it out on the right side to Brendan Mulligan. Mulligan takes it in the lane. Little fall away shot, and he's hacked on the arm by Josh Merle, it appeared. So that will send Brendan Mulligan to the line once again, and they're going to call that on Matt Bryan instead of Merle. Bryan just getting his hands in there, reaching in the last second.
Quickly, Matt Bryan is in foul trouble. He's got two quick fouls here in the first period. He's got to definitely be the coach. He's definitely got to have his mind on that right now.
Well, just as you mentioned that, Greg, Matt Bryan went over and had a little mini discussion with Coach Jim Tomey, and they immediately send Eddie Duarte, who's used to coming in off the bench as the 6th or 7th player in this squad. They don't skip a beat with him in there. He's only 6'1", but very, very aggressive. Likes to hit the boards. And Mulligan able to connect on 1 of 2, puts his team out in front 5-2 here. And the Dons in the last couple of games, they've got off to some fairly slow starts. That appears to be the case now, but they're a type of team that no matter how far they are behind, they always manage to come back. as Brian Scoggin, 6'1" junior, takes it right down, found an opening down the lane, took it in aggressively against Merle, got it to fall. They're out in front 7-2 with 4:46 left in the opening quarter of play. Duarte in the near corner gets his hands on the ball for the first time tonight. Tony Gutierrez, he's being checked by Brad Finneran, one of the two 6'5" twins that the Eagles have on the floor to start the ball game. Duarte inside to Ferris. Ferris finds all alone Josh Merle, puts it in fairly easily. A little walk there. That was Brian Finneran. He found an opening. His eyes got big there as he saw the opening down the lane and did not get the ball in his hands before he took about 2 or 3 steps there, Greg. The traveling violation ensues.
I tell you, the last time down at court, Josh Merrill being able to score on that play that he was on the baseline, it was an unbelievable angle, and he made the bucket anyway.
Nice athletic move by Josh on the previous score. Clint Cummings follows his own shot, goes up strong. 7-6. Nice drive and a nice block from behind by Scott Ferris. What a great play there, Greg.
Nice play by Scott Ferris. Ferris got up in the air, and he got all ball.
Mulligan working hard inside the paint, and Josh Merle working just as hard. Pulls down the board. Eddie Duarte back the other way out to Tony Gutierrez. He's going to work it as a tandem with Josh Merle. Ferris looks to go back out to Gutierrez. Dennis Keene defending Ferris pretty nicely on that far perimeter. Clint Cummings would just slow things down here. 3.5 minutes left in the opening quarter of play. Jim Thome, the head coach of the Dons, just calling out instructions. Thome is assisted by Dean Dodd and Peter Thome.
Yeah, the Eagles right now is Santa Margarita basically in a 2-3 zone defense, trying to see if they can make them shoot the outside shot, slow up the game a little bit, grab the tempo.
Well, you mentioned, Greg, during the introduction that these guys like to mix it up defensively. Started out with a man-to-man, now we're seeing a zone here. So look to see them mix it up as the game progresses, as Clint Cummings, little off target on his shot, was brought down by Brendan Mulligan. Mulligan works it out to Brian Finneran. At 6'5", he likes to handle the rock, but unable to do so there as Clint Cummings was on him like a blanket, causing the turnover. Josh Merle will send it in to Tony Gutierrez as the Dons in white go left to right on our video dial. Just over 2.5 minutes to go here in the opening quarter. 7-6 remains the score. Clint Cummings working it into the big guy. Merle tries a reverse layup.
It's the first time I've ever seen Josh Merrill, and I tell you what, he's got a sweet move down the baseline. He's showed it a couple of times early in this contest.
I tell you, at 6'9", a lot of people think of him as a strong forward as we watch Dennis Keene take it in the lane and softly sinks his shot through. 9-8, the Eagles out in front by 1, but you're right, getting back to Josh at 6'9", a lot of people would probably consider him as a strong forward on a high school level, but the guy's a finesse guy, loves to shoot the ball from outside the 3-point range, likes to go baseline, popular for reverse layup shots. He's coordinated, the guy can play, and that's why he's going to Pepperdine, and he'll add to that program. And a nice play there, the driving layup by Brian Scoggin. 11-8. And a nice steal. Brian Finneran comes away with it. They quickly work it up top. He tried to get it out to his twin brother, Brad Finneran. That one got away from him, ended up into the hands of Tony Gutierrez, and a timeout is called by the University of San Diego High School Dons with 1 minute and 31 seconds left in the opening quarter. It's the Eagles of Santa Margarita 11, the Dons 8. A beautiful turnout here at the University of San Diego High School, actually right across the street from the Dons' home court and school, the University of San Diego High School. The Dons in white, Josh Merle will send it in. Josh off to a nice start, has 6 points in the ballgame already. 6 of the 8 points on the board for the Dons as Tony Gutierrez jogs it across the timeline. He's going to be double teamed, works out to Clint Cummings top side over to Ferris. Ferris looking inside momentarily to Merle. Merle in the corner from long range. little long on the shot as Brian Finneran attempted to go up for the rebound, and Clint Cummings right there to defend. Made a nice play to get that one to go off the hand of Finneran, and the Dons will retain possession here on the near side as Josh Merle looks to go baseline, a little reverse. Soft jumper falls short, brought down by Brian Finneran. Works it into the hands of Dennis Keene. Keene back to Finneran. Finneran to his brother, unable to hold on as Ferris comes away with it. So the Finneran to Finneran combination, almost successful with a nice defense, the swarming defense of the Dons.
Ferris over to help out from the weak side with the quick hands.
And he's off to a great start, Greg, defensively, as you mentioned earlier, that nice block shot. Then he comes away, gets himself in the right place at the right time defensively, and that's what the good players do. Josh Merle had a notion, now he'll send it up. Falls short, brought down by Brendan Mulligan. That one almost stolen away by Merle as Finneran tried to take that one right down the lane, and Clint Cummings grabbed him on the arm. So Finneran, and that's Brad Finneran, or actually make that Brian Finneran, will go to the line, and he'll have an opportunity to shoot 2 shots. The Eagles are coached by Jerry DeBusk. He's in his 2nd year at the school. The assistants are Todd Dixon and Pete Toomey. The Eagles, as I mentioned in introduction, they won the Southern Section 3 AA championship. They defeated Servite 67-53. And actually, to make it that far, they defeated Savannah 75-58 in the semifinals. And in the quarterfinals, they beat Pomona. As for the Dons, we've been following them the last few games. They won the San Diego CIF championship against St. Augustine. They beat them 71-64. And I tell you what, they may very well see them again, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. As Finneran connects 12-8, puts his team out in front by 4. Scott Ferris works out to Tony Gutierrez. Gutierrez with a nice bounce pass inside, and getting it to fall just into the game is K.C. Tisdale. He's just a junior at 6'5", saw a little bit of playing time against Wasco. As the Eagles send one up from downtown, unable to fall. And that will do it. The first quarter of play coming to a close here at the University of San Diego. It's the Eagles of Santa Margarita 12, the University of San Diego High School Dons 10.
As we see the ball tangled up there in the air, let's take a look at the scoring real quick. For the Santa Margarita Eagles is Brian Scoggin. He's got 4 points. He's the leading scorer. 2 for Dennis Keene, 2 for Brian Finneran, and 3 points for Brendan Mulligan, all at the line. For the Dons, it's 6 points for Josh Merrill. He's the leading scorer with Clint Cummings, who's got 2, and Casey Tisdale has 2. 12-10 is your score as we go to the second period. Mike?
What a great turnout tonight, Greg. It's so great to see a lot of fan support for each respective team. Santa Margarita had to travel a ways to come down, but their side of the court packed as well. The officials for tonight's game are Matt Heinschel and Merv Cutler. We have an official timeout here, as Greg expressed a moment ago. The ball, when the Eagles attempted a 3-point shot at the end of the quarter, it sprang up in the air and actually came right down and kind of hid right behind the backboard and the black podium coming down. That actually is the foundation or the structure of the backboard. So as soon as they get the ball, we'll actually continue play here. So an extended timeout for the coaches. They'll have an opportunity. Did you already cut me? So the Dons anxiously awaiting to get underway here in the second quarter of play. They defeated Wasco 68-39 in that game. They actually trailed by about 5 in the first quarter. That's the case here, as Greg just expressed, 12-10 after giving you the scoring summary. So the Dons, not unaccustomed to seeing themselves down in the first quarter, has never had any adverse effect on them, as they've won coming from behind in the last 2 of their 3 games they've played. And we'll look to do the same here, as they went on a 24-2 run against Wasco, ended up beating them by 29. So this team here seems to be a little bit stronger. Probably have their work cut out for them to stay in the ball game. But that solid defense, they come into tonight's game only giving up 43 points per game. They were number 1 in San Diego County defensively. Mauricio Perez at 6'7", he's a junior, likes to handle the ball in the backcourt. Tony Gutierrez looks back to Scott Ferris. Ferris dribbling in the far perimeter, looking inside momentarily to Duarte as they work at top side to Gutierrez. Gutierrez trying to take it in on a drive against Mulligan, but Mulligan just playing back a few steps as to not allow any type of quick first burst to the basket by Gutierrez, as Mauricio Perez works it back to Gutierrez on the near side. Shows good ball control behind his back and finally works it back top side to Scott Ferris. Ferris slows it down, just underway here in the second quarter of play. Gutierrez looking inside to Duarte, just trying to get position. Again, at 6'1", very difficult for him to post himself up, but generally does a good job for his height. Ferris back out to Perez. Perez being guarded by Finneran. Tony Gutierrez works against Brendan Mulligan. Mauricio Perez almost had that one taken away by Finneran. A little contact there. Duarte, his shot falls short, brought down by Brian Finneran. Finneran at 6'5" will take it the length of the court, dishes it outside to his brother. A little too strong on the shot, and he almost gets it back. It's Brad Finneran. Put the shot up, it came off the board, and his second effort just try to dive down there and keep the ball in possession of the Eagles. And basically it's going to be called a jump ball, and on the jump ball rotation, the Eagles will have the first possession. Brian Finneran to send it in for the Eagles. Works out to his brother Brad. Brad in the far perimeter, looking inside. And Scoggin back into the lineup. Took a little breather. He's back in now as it works the top side to Finneran. Dennis Keene just whipping it around as the Eagles just try to work for the good shot here. And a nice give and go there from one twin brother to the next. That was a nice play as Brian Finneran had the ball in the near perimeter. Alertly worked it back to Brad Finneran as he cut right back to the basket on a little give and go, and a nice play there. 14-10 extends the margin for the Eagles here. Josh Merle whips it around top side to Gutierrez. They'll just work for a good shot here, Greg.
Eagles back in that 2-3 zone, trying to again put the pressure on them defensively.
And if anything, force them to take a longer range shot, which that hadn't had any effect on Merle as he gets the ball inside. He's hacked from behind. It'll be interesting to see the call. It should be the Dons ball underneath the basket. Josh just showing good aggression, came across the lane very quickly to get the ball. And again, sometimes they call that on the offensive guy just trying to bust into position, but that not the case there, as Joey Hughes, 6'3" sophomore, into the action here in the first half of play. And they'll work it right out to Joey, gets his hands on the ball right away. He'll set up as the point guard, works it top side to Gutierrez, and Hughes will situate himself in the far perimeter as Ferris works it top side, goes back out to Hughes. Hughes looking inside to Mauricio Perez as Gutierrez has a top side, looks underneath. And again, they've got a very disciplined offense. They're going to try to not do what they did against Wasco. They had an uncharacteristic 17 turnovers in the ball game, Greg, and that's very, very unlike the Dons. So I know the coach had a conference with them as Hughes puts it up from deep in the corner, strong on the shot as Brian Finneran comes away with the rebound.
I think Hughes forced that shot. That wasn't a good shot by Hughes.
If anything, it might have been a little bit out of his range. Scott Ferris with nice hustle, tried to keep it in play for the Dons. Coach Jim Tomey just showing his appreciation for Scott. Goes over there and gives him a little spank on the bottom and says, good job. The ball does, in fact, stay in possession of the Eagles, but a nice hustle by Ferris. Finneran short on the shot, and Josh Merle comes down with a strong rebound. And Merle, he had a good game against Wasco. Actually had 9 of their first 11 points. He had 15 and a half. He ended up with 22. He had 10 rebounds in that game, 3 block shots, and 3 steals as well. So Josh Merle just continuing where he left off in the previous games in this tournament as Gutierrez' shot is off target.
The 2-3 zone is seeming to take effect for the Eagles of Santa Margarita.
Shot falls short by Scoggin. Joey Hughes works up court, has it taken away from behind, so Scoggin with a nice attempt there. They just tried to bat that one away in hopes it would land in a teammate's hand, and did just that as Brian Finneran comes away with it. Scoggin from 10 foot in the corner. 16-10. The Eagles out in front of the Dons.
And Scoggins is their leading scorer. He's got 6 points, and he was bumped a little bit going down to try to set up, and then he quickly got away from the defense and made that jumper.
And speaking of Scoggin, Greg, I spoke with Todd Dixon, the assistant coach for the Eagles. He says that Scoggin averages 11 points on the year, but has taken it up a notch in the playoffs and is averaging 18 points in the playoffs. So he's one of their go-to guys here.
And Scoggin can also shoot the three-pointer, so you got to watch him in that respect.
Mauricio Perez slows things down here. Ferris and Perez working as a backcourt tandem. And Hughes just working outside on the far perimeter, and on the near perimeter here is Josh Merle. Tony Gutierrez, they're just going to feature a little four-corner offense here, work for the good shot. They did it against Wasco, and they had a turnover. Finneran to Finneran. (18-10). The Eagles out in front.
Nice play by Brian Finneran. He fell the lane that time, and then he dished it off to his brother for a sweet jumper.
Mauricio Perez and Scott Ferris inside of Josh Merle. Merle's going to play right there in the center in that box and one four-corner offense. And what they want to do here with the four-corner offense, their philosophy here, Greg, is just to work the ball around the perimeter, back and forth, working inside to Merle, and have the guys on the corner just break off and towards the basket and look for not only the best shot, but a possible layup, and that's what happens in the four-corner offense. You can get a lot of layups if the defense is lacking, but that's not the case so far. The Eagles really doing a nice job defensively as Cummings takes it in strong. Just rolls off the rim and brought down just as strong by Brendan Mulligan. Mulligan just gets it across the timeline, works on the far side of Brian Finneran, who goes cross-court to Keene, and King works it back to Jeff Hopkins, a 5'10 senior. He's into the lineup for the first time tonight. Brian Finneran goes up for the shot, and he's fouled by Josh Merle. The Finneran brothers, the twin brothers, average about 15 points per game. Just about right at that mark, if not just under the mark. Brad averages about 7 boards a game, and Brian about 8 rebounds. So very even in talent as well. As that one battles the rim and comes out for Brian. 1:59 left here in the opening half of play. You're watching the semifinal in Division III Southern California Regional play. Josh Merle taps that one away from Brad Finneran, comes down with the rebound and gets it into the hands of their quarterback, Matt Bryan. Matt, just a junior, he'll be back next year. Jim Tomey has a few underclassmen here that will have a starting role in next year's season, and will more importantly have a lot of confidence as they've made it to the playoffs and state finals here. Will definitely help their confidence going into next year's season as Matt Bryan works topside here against a couple players. Tony Gutierrez inside to Cummings. Cummings working hard against 2 defenders off the glass. 18-12. 1:17 left in the half.
That's the 4th point of the contest for Clint Cummings, who seemingly in the last minute or so has really been working hard in and around the glass.
Clint, a very emotional player. In the last game against Wasco, he had 2 back-to-back steals where he took in the length of the court, so he's the kind of player that can lift this team up emotionally. And that one almost taken away from Matt Bryan. It almost appeared that Jeff Hopkins might have hacked him on the arm, trying to be aggressive and take the ball away. But apparently not the case. They're going to call it a jump ball, and this time on the jump ball rotation, the Dons will have possession as Mauricio Perez sends it into Matt Bryan. Bryan working against Dennis Keene. Gutierrez inside of Merle. Merle takes up strong, little double pump, gets it to fall. So Josh double teamed, if not triple teamed on that play, did a quick pump fake, sent it up strong to the basket, got the shot to fall, has a potential 3-point play. He's got 8 points already. Gutierrez goes up for it. Clint Cummings. And Josh with a follow. Almost took the rim down. He had fouled that so aggressively. And Mauricio Perez fouls it in on the second or third offensive attempt by the Dons. They're back in it, 18-16 to score. 26 seconds and counting left in the opening half of play. And the Eagles will work for one last shot here to close out the first half. This is an exciting one, Greg. Will probably go down to the final seconds.
I tell you what, the coach, Jim Thome, has made some important adjustments, and they've really worked for him offensively so far in the last couple of minutes.
3 seconds, 2 seconds, and just before the buzzer goes off, Brad Finneran is hacked, and he'll go to the line.
Hopefully that's not on Merrill.
Clint Cummings gets the call, and you heard Greg there saying hopefully it wasn't on Josh. Josh, the player that cannot afford to get in foul trouble. They need him going down to the waning sections of this ball game.
I say that as far as Josh Merrill's concerned because of the fact that, you know, no time do you want your star player to be in foul trouble, and especially to get a cheap foul at the end of the half.
That will do it. The first half of play coming to a close here at the University of San Diego. It's the Santa Margarita Eagles 18, the University of San Diego High School Dons 16. I'm Mike Benson along with Greg Porter, George Langevin on the camera following all the action for you. We'll be back in a moment to give you a quick summary of the scoring in the first half of play, and then Greg looks to be an exciting second half of play. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. The players back on the court. The second half of play set to get underway here. And actually about 1 minute and 21 seconds is what the clock says. And Greg, why don't you go ahead and give us a scoring update, a little summary of the first half.
Well, for the visitors from Santa Margarita, they have a total of 6 points by Brian Scoggin. Scoggin, the guard, the junior, has played well in the first half. 5 points by Brian Finneran, who is also, along with Brad Finneran, who has 2 points, really done the job down low, and they've mixed it up well offensively. 3 points for Brennan Mulligan, and also 2 points for Dennis Keene. Some real balanced scoring, Mike, for the Santa Margarita Eagles. Over on the Dons side, it's the leading scorer, their leading scorer all year, who's averaged 21 points during the regular season, Josh Merrill. Merrill's got 8 points and only 1 foul, which is really good for them. And it's 4 points for Clint Cummings, who is, on the other hand, in foul trouble because he has 3 fouls. Casey Tisdale and Mauricio Perez off the bench have 2 points each.
Yeah, I wasn't aware. I actually thought that Clint Cummings had a foul to give away there. I only thought he had 1. In fact, he did have 2, so you're right. Nobody was really in a position to give away a foul. We were talking earlier about, you know, hoping that it wasn't Josh Merrill that was in on the foul. But in essence, it was Cummings, and he's got 3, so they're going to have to watch that. The second half of play just underway here. The Eagles in blue, they'll go left to right on our video dial in the second half of play. And Scoggin takes a baseline, sends it up with his left hand, and Josh Merrill comes down with it. Brian Scoggin, Greg had mentioned, the leading scorer for the Eagles in that first half, took that one in strong.
And Scoggin, trying to get his own rebound, almost committed his second foul of the contest.
But Merrill, the taller of the two, was able to bring it down fairly easily. As Matt Bryan put it up from three-point land, and Scoggin comes down with it. He's going to take it the length of the court, a little pump fake, then sends it back out to Mulligan. It was a nice drive, and that one almost rejected against the backboard by Josh Merrill, but the ball, in fact, did hit the backboard, resulting in a goaltending call, and that was actually a good call, but a nice attempt there by Josh Merrill. If that one would have been good, this place would have erupted.
Yeah, that was a nice play for the bucket, and the Eagles still lead 20-16. They led by 2 at half.
Josh Merrill softly off the glass. 20-18 the score. And Josh in double figures tonight in scoring. 6:53 left in the Third quarter of play. We're just underway here in the second half of play. Dennis King with a quick jumper. He took advantage of his size advantage over the smaller Matt Bryan. King at 6'1", acted like he was going to go baseline and just lifted up out of nowhere. Sank that one through from about 14 feet out. Nice shot by Dennis King. Perez takes it in, and a blocking violation will go against Brian Finneran. Just tried to get good positioning right there in the paint, was unable to do so, and a nice driving layup there by Mauricio Perez, the 6'7" junior, who always comes off the bench as a 6 or 7 man doing a nice job. And he'll go to the line shooting 2. A little strong on the first one. The crowd here on the near side just getting into it, raising their hands to encourage Mauricio. And it worked. 22-19 the score. The Eagles out in front by 3. The Eagles started off very quickly, then the Dons came back, and they've kept it close ever since, as Tony Gutierrez garners a rebound and hustles it across the timeline himself. He's working against Brad Finneran. Matt Bryan inside to Merle. Merle had that one knocked away from behind, and then Merle with a second effort keeps it alive for the Dons as Mauricio Perez backs it back out to Clint Cummings. Matt Bryan back out to Perez. Perez takes it down the line. A nice dish inside to Bryan. Nice movement away from the ball by Matt Bryan. He knew that Perez is always looking as he goes down the lane to look for that dish off. And Bryan just cut from one side of the lane to the next, found himself open by one step, and that's all he needed to lay it in nicely. 22-21. Finneran right down the lane. Josh Merle with the board. Gives way to Matt Bryan. Matt Bryan has no intention of slowing it down. Takes it down the lane. A little fall-away shot. A little floater. He couldn't get it to fall as Brad Finneran takes it all the way down. Big rebound, Josh Merle. And says, hey, Matt, slow things down. Let's set up for a good offensive play here. You can see the big facial expression there on Josh Merle's face.
No doubt about it. Josh Merle, he's the ball court leader. He's the man they look to in crunch time, and he's just trying to calm down the young man.
And back the other way goes Tony Gutierrez on a little double pump move himself. Nice athletic move. He couldn't get the shot to fall, but he finds himself at the line, and he'll be shooting 2 as his team trails by 1, and a timeout is called by the Eagles with 4:44 left in the third quarter. It's the Eagles of Santa Margarita out in front of the Dons of the University of San Diego High, 22-21. Tony Gutierrez, the 6'5" junior. And you can tell by the reaction of the crowd, that one sunk right through. And Tony makes good on the second of 2 as well. He's got 4 points in the ball game. Brad Finneran back the other way for the Eagles. Actually make that the first 2 points of the ball game for Tony Gutierrez, both coming on the line. Finneran works it around the perimeter. Driving nicely, had it rejected by Josh Merle, but that was Derek Yankoff, the 6'2" senior, getting into the action for the Eagles for the first time tonight. San Augustine, another open round play, had a nice victory over Shafter. They won 46-43, and they're playing against Pacifica tonight. Pacifica 28-1. They're playing at Cypress College. And a nice follow, and a real nice follow by Brian Finneran. 2 offensive attempts proving good for the Eagles as they go out in front 24-23. Tony Gutierrez on the near side here to Ferris with a nice dish inside to Clint Cummings, trying to take it up strong, and a fine defensive play by Dennis Keene as he hung in the air there with Clint Cummings. A fine play resulting in the jump ball, and on the rotation, the Dons will retain possession underneath. Ferris brings it in to Tony Gutierrez in the near corner. Nice move, takes it up. Oh, he's hacked. Fine athletic maneuver there. The quick step there as he went right to left with his dribble. Looking like Hardaway of the Golden State Warriors there. That little crossover dribble proved successful for Tony Gutierrez. He'll go to the line here for the second consecutive time.
And the 6'2 senior Yankoff for the Eagles was standing right there down low, but he says, I'm coming at you, Derek.
And Tony connects on the first of two. He's been clutch from the line.
Nice body control, and he shows his poise at the line.
And that's 4 in a row for Tony Gutierrez. And the Dons immediately administer a full court man-to-man press. Brad Finneran all alone there on the far side. Josh Merle just backing up until he crosses the top of the sphere. Brad Finneran looking inside to the breaking Brendan Mulligan. Yankoff back out to Finneran. Tried to go inside, and Scott Ferris upset with the call as he felt like he got the right positioning on Brad Finneran, and the crowd not happy with the call. Scott Ferris, very popular for being a very aggressive player and one of the defensive standouts on this squad. As I mentioned, they come into the game only giving up about 43 points, and that was a nice fancy little attempt there by Brian Finner, and just tried to knock that one off the back of Mauricio Perez so that he could hopefully get it back and find himself in an easy position to get a layup, but all to no avail as Derek Yankoff couldn't get that one in cleanly, and Clint Cummings just getting up quickly as he was tied up with Derek Yankoff. Clint didn't like the idea of being tied up there on the ground. Just try to jump up real quickly, and the Eagles will retain possession here on the near side as Brian Finneran sends it in to his brother Brad. Back to Brian. Brian works on the far side to Mulligan. Looking inside, and a little contact there. Scott Ferris just held on to Brian Scoggin. He appeared to grab him in the hip area, and his momentum, Scoggin's momentum, took him to the floor. And it actually looked a little more vicious than it actually was. It looked like Ferris, from a lot of people's angle, looked like he might have just whipped him to the ground and threw him down, but that's not the case. He just had his hands in his hip area, and like I said, Scoggins' momentum took him to the ground. And a nice little attempted alley-oop there from Finneran to Finneran. All for naught. 3:13 left in the third. The Dons out in front by 1. In the lead here for the first time in a long time as Tony Gutierrez works it against Dennis Keene. Gutierrez finds an opening in the lane, works it back out to Perez. Perez topside, a nice pass inside to Merle.
I don't see how Mauricio Perez found the big man Josh Merrill, but he did, and he got it to him, and Merrill connects.
Well, I'm going to tell you how, Greg. He's 6'7". He can see over everybody. I mentioned in one of the prior games that we've done on the year that he kind of reminds you of a Magic Johnson at that point. At 6'9", Magic was so tall he could see over everybody. And Mauricio at 6'7", going against guards that are 6'1" and 6'3", he's got that height advantage. He can see over people. And he's got good ball control and good coordination as he's handling the ball. His eyes are looking up, looking for that person breaking towards the basket. And in that case, he found Josh Merle all alone underneath. So a fine play by Perez on the assist. Brendan Mulligan connects on the first. 27-25, the Dons out in front by a bucket as Solomon Ali Sinclair, the 6'3" junior, will give Clint Cummings a rest. Brendan Mulligan, 6'3" junior, looking to connect on the second. Josh Merle brings it down. Tony Gutierrez slows things down as he surveys the court. Mauricio Perez working against Brad Finneran. Perez back to Gutierrez. Gutierrez behind the back, in the lane, right-handed. What a move by Gutierrez, Craig. While it was up in the air, I almost thought he was going to throw it up with his left hand. At the last possible second, he switches to his right hand, throws it up off the glass, and a timeout is called by the Eagles with 2:22 left on the clock. The Dons extend their margin to 4. They're out in front 29-25. We'll be back in a moment. So Tony Gutierrez looking to make good on the potential three-point play here. Has hit 4 free throws in a row. He's finding his eye tonight. Tony Gutierrez, 5 for 5 from the charity stripe. 30-25, the largest margin of victory so far here in the ball game. 5-point lead for the Dons. They trailed early, but they always managed to find a way to come back as Finneran connects from just inside the three-point line. 30-27. Brian took a step too many up forward. Probably wanted to connect from just outside the three-point line. Found his back heel just on the line. They credit him with 2 points. Josh Merle working in the backcourt against Finneran. Mauricio Perez in the near corner to Gutierrez. Has a quick first step. Finds his jumper. That one rattled around a little bit, but finally found its home. 32-27. A minute and a half left in the third quarter.
That's 9 points for Tony Gutierrez. He's really heated up, all of them in the second half.
You're right. He got off to that slow start, as the team did. But again, the Dons popular for that as of late, getting off to a, I should say, uncharacteristic slow start, as they've won 26-27 games on the year. You know that can't be the case all year long. So just in the playoffs, they've got off to fairly slow starts, but that's okay. That doesn't faze them a bit. They're almost used to it by now. They're out in front 32-27. Mulligan. Duarte working hard on the defense, and as he goes up to throw the shot up on a reverse, it might be Josh Merle as he comes over to the referee, Merv Cutler, and says, "Hey, are you calling that on me?" And that is the case. Josh Merle is guilty for the foul, and that's his third foul. It'll be interesting to see what type of move that the coach makes. With 1:15 left in the third, I'm sure that they'll keep Josh in the ball game.
Well, you know, on the play, if I was Josh, I probably would have let him go because already it looked like he was going to throw it up. But Josh made the decision to try and see if he could block it, and unfortunately it didn't work for him.
And Brendan Mulligan connects on the first of 2. But again, that's just the confidence of a Josh Merle going up in hopes that he could actually come away with a block against a shorter player. Mulligan, only 6'3". They really felt like he could sincerely get that one and not foul. That's a chance you take. Tony Gutierrez works it against a full court press. Quickly works it across the timeline. Duarte made a nice play. He wanted to go inside to Tisdale, but smartly backed it up. Smart court play by Duarte as Gutierrez backs it up. 58 seconds left in the third. Look to see the Dons work for one last shot here, as they do have a 3-point lead. They want to go into the final quarter with a lead. Eddie Duarte works it out to Gutierrez. They'll just spread it right out. Instead of going with their four-corner offense that they featured against Wasco, they're just trying to spread themselves out as much as they can without keeping a player right in the middle as they do in that little four-corner offense. Ferris almost fouled there by Brian Scoggin, and now Scoggin does get him on the arm. And that, what the Dons were looking for, either to get a nice clean shot here before the close of the third quarter or get fouled. And we're not in the bonus yet, so Ferris and the Dons will take it out of bounds on the far side as Josh Merle. They actually did give him a little breather. That might have been a smart move by Jim Tomey to give Josh a breather for about 30 seconds, let him regather himself, get his composure, because his aggressions were running high when he went up to reject that shot, and he fouled Scoggins earlier. 20 seconds and counting here left in the third quarter of play as Tony Gutierrez holds on to the ball, just situates himself as the defender, Dennis Keene, is playing well off of him, or actually make that mulligan. Mauricio Perez had to hustle up to get that one in and tried to throw that one up on a little floater with his left hand, and that should do it for the third quarter of play here at the University of San Diego. And I tell you what, Greg, This one, if it continues like this, will go down to the final seconds. It's 32-29. The Dons out in front of the Eagles.
I tell you what, Tony Gutierrez really stepped up here in the third quarter, and he just in time, the nick of time before the Dons started to look from the other side of the ledger at a being behind in the score. But the thing is, Gutierrez stepped up, he made his shots, he made the plays, and he rallied his team. They have the lead now, and now with the lead, you can do a lot of things. When you're you're behind in the score, you have to play a little bit differently. But of course, now the Dons can control the tempo, do the kind of things they want to do on offense, and make the Eagles have to basically play their style of ball. And that's got to help you when you're playing at home as the band strikes up to 2.
Okay. And I tell you what, the crowd getting hyped here at the University of San Diego. The final quarter just about to get underway here as the players come on the court. You're watching a George Langevin production presentation. I'm Mike Benson along with Greg Porter here. George Langevin following the bounce of the basketball here as we go quickly left to right and right to left on our video dial. You're watching the semifinals in Division III Southern California Regional play. The Dons in white, they'll go right to left as Josh Murrell sends it into Mauricio Perez. Mauricio, 6'7", loves playing in that backcourt because he can handle the rock. Got tangled up there momentarily, finally works it out to Josh Murrell. And they're going to spread the offense out here. Eddie Duarte, good ability to get that one back as he goes towards the lane and has that one batted away by Brad Finneran. A nice play there defensively. Brad, at 6'5", has a 4-inch height advantage on Duarte. Took advantage of it as Eddie tried to throw up a little half hook shot. That was a fine play by Finneran.
Yeah, it really was. Finneran again helping out. He sees a man going to the lane, and what does he do? He quickly comes over, gets his hands up, and blocks the shot. Nice play by Finneran for the Eagles.
And Brian Finneran, the brother of Brad, at 6'5", he walks it across the timeline, gets out to Jeff Hopkins. Jeff, a 5'10" senior, seeing limited action tonight, but they've got confidence in him to have him playing in this final quarter. So the Eagles feature about eight or nine players or so that see action on a regular basis, and for the Dons, they've got about 8 players as well that see action. The only player, or the 9th player, would be John Fink, who generally sees a lot of action during the playoffs. He had a big game against Crawford during the regular year, threw in 19 points. So he can help out on the boards. And when he's getting himself in the right place at the right time, can put the ball through the hole as well.
Casey Tisdale is in there for the Dons to try to spell Josh Merrill, give him a breather right now, and see what they can do with Tisdale, the junior, and company to give Josh Merrill the break and maybe score some points and then get Josh Merrill back in there during crunch time.
Tony Gutierrez working it quickly across the timeline, almost got tied up there, quickly got the ball into the hands of Mauricio Perez. I'll tell you what, a nice trapping zone there, or man press, I should say, being featured by the Eagles. Putting a little bit of pressure on the Dons there, not allowing them to set up in their offense the way that they would like. It's 7:21 left in the ball game. It's 32-29. Nobody has scored a point here since we started this last quarter play, so the jitters of the players may be picking up a little bit as well here. We're in the semifinals, and I tell you what, they know they've got to get it done now. As Tony Gutierrez, willing and dealing, sends it up. A little strong. He's hacked from behind by Brendan Mulligan.
And what's really going to help the Dons tonight here in the fourth quarter is the fact that they're in the bonus situation. So every time it's going to be a one-on-one, 1+1 situation from the line.
And what better guy to have on the line than Tony Gutierrez, as he's hit everything he's thrown up tonight. He's in the zone, as they say, from the foul line. Merle did it at the sports arena when he hit 8 in a row in the clutch situations. It's Tony Gutierrez's time. And again, he's in such a zone that his shot was right on target. It looked like it might fall short. It bounds up and falls right through. So Tony Gutierrez continuing to be clutch here on the free throw line.
He's made 6 and now 7 from the charity stripe. Gutierrez is in the zone at that line.
7:14 left in the ball game, 34-29. The Dons back to that 5-point lead. They're best in the ball game so far. A floater. Brian Finneran went up for the shot, leaned his 6'5" body up against KC Tisdale, Tisdale upset at the play. He felt like he got himself situated in a position that should warrant a charging violation, but that not the case. That not the way the officials saw it, and the crowd showing their disappreciation, if you will, for the call with 7:07 left in the ball game. It's the University of San Diego High School Dons 34, the Santa Margarita Eagles 31. Brian Finneran to the line to look to make good on the back end and falls short. And a nice move and a nice follow there by Brendan Mulligan. 34-33. We've got a close one here. And why not? You're watching the semifinals in Southern Regional play. This one appearing to go right down to the wire as Tony Gutierrez on the far side works it out to Mauricio Perez, back to Gutierrez top side. Scott Ferris looking inside momentarily to KC Tisdale, thought better against it. Scrappy defense being portrayed here by the Eagles. Both teams very, very solid defensively. The score at 34-33 reiterates that, as the Dons very used to scoring in the 60s and 70s on an average throughout the year. So being held down a little bit from their season averages. Scott Ferris, and a nice play as Finneran cut right in front, sends out to his brother on the left-handed leg. Fine play by Brad Finneran as he floated that one in the air with his left hand. The place going wild as Tony Gutierrez hustles it across the timeline. The sound is deafening. And a nice pass to Tisdale. He's hacked. And KC can't believe it. Instead of getting a call, they call it traveling violation, or an up and down, if you will, and that will result in an Eagles possession. They're in blue, they'll go left to right on our video dial as the Dons immediately get into a full court press, and now will back off as Brian Finneran, given plenty of room by Mauricio Perez to take it down across the timeline. Dennis Keene calling out the plays, works it inside, almost taken away by Eddie Duarte, and Keene all alone down the lane. Finneran with the follow, rejected by Mauricio Perez. And Scott Ferris comes away with it, and he's hacked from the behind, and he'll go to the line, shooting 1-and-1. Both teams in a bonus. Both teams over the limit, so Scott Ferris will find himself going to the foul line. He'll be looking at 1-and-1.
Nice hustle by Scott Ferris. Ferris knew that he had to try to help out defensively, get the loose ball. Ferris was tough down at the baseline there, and he even tried to throw it over to somebody over his head.
And I tell you what, Scott not known as an offensive threat, but he comes through in the clutch here as he ties the ball game up at 35 apiece with 5:23 left on the clock. Can put his team out in front by one here. Ball short, brought down by Brian Finneran. Gives way to Dennis Keene.
But that's a mark of a great team, and the fact that you get a guy like Scott Ferris who would come in, you know, he gets the foul and he goes ahead and makes a point at the free throw line. Every little bit helps. Everybody's got to chip in, and they're doing it for the Dons. It's a great ball game, all tied up.
On the give and go, Scoggin. And he travels. So it works both ways. The Eagles looking for the same type of call that KC Tisdale did not get back on the other end. And Scoggin looking for a possible three-point play of his own. The traveling violation ensues, and that negates the basket as well. We're still all tied up at 35 apiece. 4:50 left in the ball game as Josh Murrell works it topside to Ferris, to Perez on the far side. In the corner to Josh Murrell, had a notion to put it up, willing and dealing against Finneran, and finally works it back out to Perez. So a nice defense there by Finneran as Perez takes it all alone, gets his own rebound, follows it up, falls short, and Finneran, Brian Finneran, comes down with the board. The Finneran brothers, I mentioned coming in to the game that they average about 15 points or so, or just shy of it, but these guys play some defense as well, Greg.
Oh, they really do, and they'll make it as tough as they can against Josh Merrill and company down low.
Keene outside to Mulligan. "37-35" to score. Almost a backcourt violation, but Josh only had half of his body across the timeline, so Tony Gutierrez was safe as he walked it across the timeline. Clint Cummings on the far side looks to go in the lane. Perez with a nice dish to Ferris, goes up, has it knocked away. Dennis Keene and Brian Finneran right there to defend. Finneran stops. Clint Cummings doing a nice act, tried to get that charging violation against him, just fell back. Not enough contact to warrant a call. And no call, the good call there. As Finneran takes it in the lane, soft touch. "39-35. The Dons trail by 4, and they call a timeout. Jim Tomey and company want to talk it over. The Dons in the playoffs this late in the ballgame, they're not used to trailing, Greg.
Well, I tell you what, Brian Finneran and Brad Finneran, you know, there's something about being twins that play on a basketball team. You know, they unconsciously know what each other wants to do to help out defensively, and on the offensive side of the ledger, they're going to be trying to look for each other. That time, Brian Finneran gets the bucket. He's got 11 points for their Brandon Mulligan has also been doing a job for them. They've got the balanced scoring on the Eagle side, and they've got the lead.
And in basketball terms, Greg, that's called chemistry. And team chemistry the Eagles do have as they're trying to knock the Dons out of it. The Dons have won 20 games in a row, looking to make it 21, but not if the Eagles can have anything to do with it. They're trying hard to go over the top here with a semifinal victory. The Dons, again, just uncharacteristic of them the last few games to be down this far into the ball game.
Well, anytime that you've won 25 out of 31 games on the season, you know you got to be doing something right, and the Eagles come in here from the Mission Viejo area knowing what to do when it comes crunch time. But, of course, the Dons, they have Josh Merrill. Let's see what they can do.
And speaking of the Eagles, they probably remember last year in which they lost in the semifinal against Morningside. Josh Merrill takes it up strong. Oh, he can't get the shot to fall. He grabs the basketball with both hands and says, oh, if I could only have that one back. He felt like he could have connected on that one. Either way, he'll go to the line, and he'll shoot 2. And Josh was a little off on the foul line against Wasco. I mentioned a few moments ago how in the Sports Arena final game against St. Augustine, he hit 8 shots in a row, so he can get the job done from the line in the clutch. That one in and out.
The Eagles really have to watch it. Brian Scoggin and Brendan Mulligan have 3 fouls apiece. They really have to watch it here in the last couple of minutes.
So Josh Merrill connects on the second of 2, closes the margin to 3. As Brian Finneran walks it across the timeline, gives way to Brad Finneran. Back topside to Brendan Mulligan, the 6'3 junior. They'll just whip it right around the perimeter, looking for the best shot possible. Finneran out to Scoggin. Scoggin averaging 18 points in playoff, both the regular finals in the southern section and in the state playoffs as well. As Keene keeps it alive for the Eagles. Brendan Mulligan found an opening, slipped to the ground, and Mauricio Perez comes up with it, works it out to Ferris. 39-38. What an exciting ball game. You're watching a George Langevin production presentation. Division III Southern California regional play. The semifinals. Can't get any more exciting than this, Greg.
I really can't. Both teams really want to win. Both teams are very well schooled. And there's a pass inside. It was stolen away, and the Dons have it again.
And who is it but Scott Ferris, one of the defensive standouts. Again, the good players always get themselves in the right place at the right time. Ferris doing just that, and he connected on the last layup. And that one getting away from Josh Merrill. Tapped away from behind by Brad Finneran. A sneaky little play there by Finneran. but it worked to his advantage as he popped it back into the hands of one of his teammates. And with 1:16 left in the ball game, the Dons trail by 1, 39-38. Immediately following the ball game, don't go anywhere. Please join us for the post-game show. We'll have an opportunity to speak with some of the players and get their thoughts on this exciting game. So the Dons, with 52 seconds left, will probably look to foul somebody. And if any scouting report has been done on the players, they'll probably look to foul somebody who has a low percentage. And Josh Merle comes away with a steal. He's going to take it all the way up. Gutierrez with the follow goes up and he hits it. Total pandemonium here at the University of San Diego as Josh Merle, the school leader, career leader in almost every category, comes away with a phenomenal clutch steal. And a timeout is called by the Eagles with 32 seconds left on the clock as Tony Gutierrez with the layup on the nice pass sends it through, and they're out in front 40-39. 32 seconds left in the game. I tell you what, Greg, the crowd getting into this game like I've never seen before. It might be just the size of the arena, I don't know, but it's like deafening when they start going wild. I can hardly hear myself think. I tell you, what a play. Josh Merle, I thought they were going to try to foul someone, then all of a sudden Josh Merle comes out of nowhere with a fine steal. And you mentioned something about Tony Gutierrez during the break. Share that with us.
Well, Tony Gutierrez has got 9 points in the second half. He's at the free throw line right now, trying to make it 10. He has 13 points in the game, and Josh Merle missed the alley-oop, but of course on the play, there was Gutierrez to follow it up. Those two have been the game so far for the Dons.
You got it. So a good presence of mind by Gutierrez to get himself situated in the right spot for the easy follow, and that was the case. 41-39, the Dons out in front by a bucket now. Finneran working it in the corner, attempting to get it into his brother Brad, but to no avail as that one was knocked away by Mauricio Perez, and he tried to keep that one in. Just got away from him, so the Dons will retain. 10 seconds left on the clock. Finneran puts it up, just falls short. Clint Cummings with the biggest rebound of his young life. And a timeout, it appears to be called. The crowd is coming onto the court, Greg, but it's not over yet. There's 2 seconds left on the clock. The Eagles immediately call timeout. The fans not aware of it yet. The players finally just become aware of it. They're telling their fans to get back on, get back in the stands. Total pandemonium here, Greg.
You know, it's unbelievable. I mean, you know, the Dons partisans are here, but there's actually more people here for the Santa Margarita Eagles who come down from Mission Viejo. But I'll tell you what, the Dons have had an unbelievable year. They seem to have the magic here in the playoffs. And, you know, that winning streak, I don't know what it is, a lucky charm, whatever you call it, but they definitely got it going here for the University of San Diego High School here in the playoffs.
And back to more important matters, they're going to reset the clock. They're going to actually set it at 3 seconds. And Clint Cummings was actually fouled when he came down with that clutch rebound. And as the crowd was going nuts, I was saying it was probably one of the biggest rebounds that he's ever come down with. I tell you, if that was clutch, and he's an aggressive player, he's an emotional player, and it's great to see Clint come down with the rebound. But as he did, Greg, he was fouled, and he has an opportunity. They're out in front by... He has an opportunity to ice this game right now if Clint can come through on the foul line.
Boy, I tell you what, he seemed like a halfback trying to do halfback drills before you get ready for football season. The defensive man was just hanging all over him. He says, no, 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 no. I'm going to keep going up the floor. I'll drag you if I have to, whatever it takes. I got this foul, and I got this victory.
Comes off the boards, and a timeout immediately called there, and a smart play there by Brian Finneran. So at 3 seconds, again, it's not over till it's over. The Eagles have an opportunity to throw one up from three-point range, Greg. 3 seconds is plenty of time to do that. So Jim Tomey and his squad is probably just going to basically tell them to pick up at half court. And if they throw up any type of shot from long range, he's going to tell them to just get in their face. Do not foul them, but just get in their face. Play the best defense you possibly can. Do not allow any easy shots underneath. Or if you do, just get out of the way and do not foul anybody. So Jim Tomey, I'm sure he's got a few things to say in that huddle.
Well, there's no doubt that's what he has to say, but also I'm sure he wants to pressure the inbounds passer to make sure that that inbounds pass is the toughest thing that the Eagles are going to have to do tonight. And if they do get it in, to make sure that you got people over on the guy that possibly may shoot the ball or the guy that's able to catch the ball, and that way if he has to if he turns around quickly and makes a shot attempt, it will be a harassed shot attempt, and it won't be one that maybe he'll want to take. We'll see how they come out and stack up against the Eagles. The Eagles down by 2. 3 seconds left to play in the game. You hear the crowd. And, of course, they bring out the big man.
And like you said, they're not going to commit the cardinal sin. They're going to have John Fink. He's playing an important role here. He's 6'10", but he's going to get into the face of the person that's bringing the ball in, and the referee, Cutler, just says, hey, as long as you stay about a yard off. But again, at 6'10", he's a physical presence. They got the right guy. A great decision by Jim Tomey to put Fink right there with his hands up in the air, and the throw goes down and thrown up from three-point range. Will he hit it? No! The Dons win it! The Dons win it! They will go on to the finals in Southern California regional play as the crowd goes wild. The Dons with a nice victory here in the semifinals of the Division III Southern California Regionals. They win by a final score of 41-39. What a game, Greg. Clint Cummings climbs up to the rim, and I'm sure he'll be followed by a teammate or two, as everybody here associated with the Dons. Pure excitement here at the University of San Diego. I'm Mike Benson, along with Greg Porter, George Langevin on camera. Any closing thoughts before we go to the post-game interviews, Greg?
I'll tell you what, the ball club Santa Margarita Eagles, they played an outstanding game. In the second half, they were pressured, but then they knew that they had the presence of mind with the balance scoring with the veterans to get back in the game, to get the lead. They had the lead, but then they bring in Josh Merrill, they being the Dons, and of course with the help of Tony Gutierrez from outside and his free throw clutch shooting, the Dons were able to get close at the end, get ahead, and then of course play the tough defense and then win the ball game, and that's exactly what they did. And they're going to continue in the regional playoffs.
And stay tuned for the post-game show. Okay, we are back for the post-game show. The Dons win an exciting one here over the Eagles. I tell you what, it was pure pandemonium at the end of the game. The crowd went wild. Everybody jumped onto the court. And I tell you what, everyone kind of got an early celebration because at the end of the game, there was 3 seconds left, and Clint Cummings joined us, had the biggest rebound, I said, probably in your young life. Talk to me about what was going through your mind with 3 seconds left as they sent the shot up. They were unable to connect, and you were there.
Well, you know, I just try to get a position for you to get the last rebound of the game because I'd gotten into foul trouble and I couldn't benefit the team by other things by taking it to the hole, getting the boards earlier in the game, and I had to sit on the bench a lot because of my foul trouble. And I felt like it was my obligation to get the rebound at the end. You know, I just had to get it. I mean, I'm a competitive person, and when I had 4 fouls, I had to do something to add to this team.
I tell you, and you did a fine job. And you're the one who told me at the sports arena that your team, it doesn't seem to matter. Whenever you're down, you always find a way to come over the top, and you did it again tonight.
Our team has the biggest heart there is out of all of us. We have the biggest heart,
Thanks, Clint. Congratulations, buddy. Good luck in the final. Okay, joining us now is Tony Gutierrez. Tony, I've got to say, the only thing that comes to my mind is clutch. In the first half, you weren't really a part of the team as far as scoring is concerned. In the second half, you went to the line. I said you were in the zone when you just hit every free throw. Did you feel comfortable as heck? I mean, the crowd's going nuts. How could you relax yourself, get your composure the way you did, and just sink the free throws?
Coach just told us at halftime, just believe in yourself. That's all I did. Just went out here, got a calm head. That's all I did.
So were you able to just block out the crowd completely? Because I was mentioning that the noise was so loud, it was deafening, but did you not even hear any of that?
Didn't hear not a thing.
Okay.
Not a thing.
Did you feel, as you guys expressed during the Sports Arenas game, that any time you're behind, you don't feel like you're ever going to lose? Again, were you a little concerned with this team because they were going right down to the wire with you, unlike Wasco that you blew out at the end?
We knew as soon as they went up 8 in the first half and we caught them back, we knew there was no way they could go up by 15 and we still would have caught them. Our defense, that's just it.
Tony Gutierrez, clutch from the line. Congratulations. Great game. Okay. Okay, I mentioned during the game that John comes in usually as about the 7th or 8th guy into the ball game, but tonight did not see action to the very end. And I tell you what, Coach Tomey made the right move. It's a cardinal sin not to have somebody at least in the face. He picks the right guy. In physical stature, you're the biggest guy on the court. Were you happy that he used you in that role?
I didn't expect it at all. You know, it was completely. I didn't know at all.
But wasn't it a smart move?
Yeah, it was definitely a smart move.
So again, now did you feel at any time in the game, like I just mentioned a moment ago, that Wasco, you were behind in the first quarter, ended up blowing them out by 29 points. This team stayed with you to the very, very end of the game. Did it get a little nerving for you on the bench personally?
Yeah, I thought we were going down the tubes. For a long time, I thought we were gone. I thought this was going to be my last game in the high school career. But at least we got another chance now.
Sure do. You got another one in the books for you. All right, John, take care. All right. Josh. Okay, joining us now is Josh Merle, the big gun for the Dons all year long. I've mentioned in the past couple games that he's obliterated the record books for the Dons. Let me ask you this. These guys, unlike your past opponents where they start out ahead and you guys end up blowing them away, these guys stuck with you, Josh, the whole game. Was it a little nerving for you at the end of the game?
It was a little bit. I felt we go a lot deeper than they do, and I think that helped a lot. We had more fresher legs at the end. They only went about 6, maybe 7 deep. So I think that helped us in the long run, them being tired. Tony stepped up real nice tonight.
Sure did.
It's different players every game. I mean, no matter what, I was going for the boards. They shut me down in the second half, and other people stepped up and not looking for points or whatever. We're looking for the W, and that's what we got.
I tell you, you're right. It seems like there's always a different player standing up, and that's a credit to a great team. But let me ask you this. One of the most athletic plays of the game is when they called you for goaltending, but what a sweet play it would have been. I know that the guy you went up against was about 6'3", had a 6-inch height advantage, so I'm saying I know Josh has the confidence. He's going to go up and try to reject it, but it just hit the backboard. What were you thinking on that play?
I just went up. I was going for the block. I mean, I was anticipated, and he threw it up there, and I smacked it off, hoping they wouldn't see it, but they got it. So, I mean, it was goaltending, but so I'm more of an anticipator blocker than straight up. So coming from the backside, blocking shots and stuff.
Right, well, hey, you got one more game to go in your exciting career here. How does it feel just going to the final?
Excited. Big time now. So we're excited. We're glad to be there, and we hope we can do good up there.
Okay, all right, Josh, thanks for joining us. Fun to watch, guy. Okay, joining us now is Matt Bryan, the quarterback of this sensational squad. And I tell you what, Josh couldn't have put it any better, Matt. He said it seems like with each night in the last few games, there's a different player that takes it up. Like in the sports arena, you were phenomenal. You know, you came through in the clutch for your team and led them to victory. Tonight it was Tony Gutierrez on the foul line, hitting the shots when he counted. He was in his zone. Josh pretty much throughout the whole year. I tell you what, closing thoughts on such a great victory in the waning seconds of the game.
I'm just so excited. I can't believe it. I mean, I was just so nervous sitting over there, and I was just cheering for everybody, and I just wanted to get over with it, get out of here, and take a win home. And I'm really happy for Tony. You know, the papers are saying it's his turn now. He stepped up. It is his turn. He played a great game. I'm really happy for him.
Okay, so I guess,
played well.
yeah, and I guess we don't know yet until the finals are in tonight who you're going to play. But am I right in thinking there's a slim chance that you may play against St. Augustine again?
We could be playing Saints again. I wouldn't mind that.
That'd be great.
That'd be wonderful. So Pacific will probably win, but if either team, we're going to go right at.
Okay. Any closing thoughts on the big victory tonight?
Yes, we're going on. We're going to win the state.
All right. Matt Bryan, thanks for joining us, buddy. All right. Okay. Okay, joining us now is Scott Ferris. I was talking throughout the ball game how Scott has been a standout defensively for this team all year long, but you know what? You actually got it done on the offensive end. The shot came off the board, or actually no, it was on a fast break. The ball ended up in your hands, and you laid it in softly. The crowd was going nuts. I mean, how could you keep your composure and slow down? What was going through your mind when you laid it up softly to help your team?
A lot of experience, a lot of games going through a mind that are just this close. Not as big, but real close, and composure is what does it for you.
I tell you, at the end of the game, when Clint got the rebound and he was fouled, the crowd didn't really realize it. They saw the clock tick down. Everyone came running on. Did it hit you guys at the game? Did you know right away that the game wasn't over because the crowd was coming?
I wasn't in the crowd. I knew. I went and sat down because I was tired, and I knew it wasn't over. We had 3 seconds to go, and that guy's a good shooter, and he almost put it in.
I tell you. And you guys did the right thing. As the crowd was coming to your bench, I saw the players going, no, go sit down. You don't want to cause any type of turmoil or have anything, take away from your big victory. But how does it feel? You're semifinals going on to the finals in your last year at the school.
Unbelievable feeling. You got to feel it. Everyone should feel this feeling.
All right, Scott. Thanks for joining us. Good luck in the final. All right. Okay, joining us now is Mauricio Perez, the junior. Another solid performance by you tonight. It seems like you come off the bench and you always feel comfortable. The crowd was going wild. Did that affect you a little bit? Did you feel like some nerves kind of strumming up there inside?
At first, not really, because you know that your team's behind you. You come out strong and you feel good. But then after that last quarter, like the last 3 minutes, I was beginning to get fatigued and tired, and the crowd, the opponent crowd was trying to get on you.
Yes.
And then Tony hit some shots and free throws, Clint, and I just got our crowd into it, and we never looked back.
And I got to bring this up. I've shared it with a couple players. In the Wasco game, you guys were down in the first quarter. Then in the second, third, and fourth quarter, you just pretty much blew them away. But this team was a little bit different. You saw yourself behind at the beginning of the game, then you gradually came back. But then at the very end of the game, there's only 2 or 3 minutes, and they're still in the game. It's kind of uncharacteristic of your opponents. Was that a little scary?
Well, it kind of was, because that team, you got to give them credit. They were awesome. I mean, they had good defense, kind of like our own, and they came out aggressive. So we just had to stick with our game plan and just try and play hard, battle.
All right, Mauricio Perez playing at 6'7" in the backcourt, some more fine passes. Good job tonight. All right. Okay, joining us now, Coach Jim Thome. I tell you what, probably the biggest play of the game didn't take place on the court. It actually took place in the huddle. You made a phenomenal strategic move. You bring John off the bench. Biggest player, I talked to him personally about it. Biggest player physically on the court. A credit to you, a fine decision. Talk to me about what was going on in the huddle.
Well, we knew we didn't want to lunge through the lane or make any kind of foolish movement off the pass. I figured we got to start at the ball. Let's get our biggest tree there and really make it difficult to see. And then we wanted to stay behind the man. We weren't going to look for a steal. If they caught it, then we're going to try and jam them and go up straight without fouling, and we got lucky. The guy missed the shot. He got his shot. It just didn't go down. It was meant for us to win this game.
Well, that was a good decision on your part. It really was. And let me ask you this: closing thoughts on the ball game. Just to reiterate this, in the Wasco game and other games on the year, you guys have been behind early, but you never have any problem. It seems to come back and end up going over the top quite easily. But this team, 2-3 minutes left in the game, they're still sticking with you the whole time. I mean, a little nerving at the end for you.
Very, very nerving. And this is a damn good basketball team. Somehow, when we were down 4, it was 39-35. I still knew with our defense we had a good chance to get back in the game. They were playing around with the ball, and it allowed us an opportunity to step in a passing lane and get the steal. Josh did that up there, got the ball, took it hard to the hole. We came up with a great possession at the end there when they were trying to score. They looked into the post and couldn't get it in there. We did a real nice job taking that away. I got a great defensive basketball team and a team with a tremendous amount of character. So I'm not surprised by anything that they're able to do. I'm really not. And I'm always in that game thinking we can win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I will end on that point because I always talk about how the players have taken it up a notch in intensity. But, Coach, you took it up a notch as well, made a fine decision at the end of the game. Congratulations. Good luck in the finals.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
The University of San Diego High School Dons winners here in the semifinals. They'll go on to the finals. And joining us now is Eddie Duarte, another one of the important players on this team. Let me ask you this. This game went right down to the wire. What was going through your mind and heart in that game? You get a little bit nervous at the end?
Yeah, I was very nervous. I thought this was the third quarter when it was the fourth quarter. And I said to myself, we have to win because this is my last year. And I was just crying to win this game.
Exactly. I tell you what, there was a point I was just talking to Mrs. Merle, I said, at the end of the game, I was talking, but I couldn't even hear myself talk. It was that loud. And you guys were sitting right behind the fans from the other team. Was it kind of, did you feel that too, where you couldn't kind of hear yourself think for a while there?
No, yes, I hear that, but I was so happy that even if they scream, don't matter. I'm so happy.
What part of the game, because I know you're excited, sticks out in your mind as being probably the best part of the whole game?
When I was down in the floor, like when I steal the ball, that was a very important point. And that's
well, you've been a defensive standout for the season all year long. Congratulations on tonight's victory, and good luck in the finals too. Okay, any closing thoughts on tonight's game?
You're going to win all.
Okay, confident Eddie. Okay, babe, take care.
Greg Porter here with the Santa Margarita Eagles, who played a fine game and losing by 2 points to the Dons on their way to the Anaheim Pond. At the end of the game, what was the offensive play that was diagrammed basically for you the last set?
For the very last shot?
Right.
It was a home run play. 4 guys lined up across the free throw line down all the way down at their end, and then I had a lot of options, but I decided to go to Scoggins for the three-pointer on the sideline. And he got a good shot off, but it just didn't fall.
Well, you know, Scoggins wasn't able to get it going in the second half, unfortunately. In the first half, he was playing real well. That's usually a man that you like to go to.
Yeah, it is. We all had a great season. He played great, and some things don't go the way you want them to, but we had a great year, and I'm satisfied with it.
You really did, winning the Seaview League and having great playoffs. And until you get down here, you know, the overflow crowd came out there. That could have been a technical. I was wondering about it.
I know. So we were hoping they get a technical, but they didn't. And we just made some mistakes late in the game, but our fans were great, and we appreciated that.
Well, they really were. Thank you very much, Brian Finneran. Some closing thoughts from the head coach of the Santa Margarita Eagles. Todd, assistant coach. Todd, at the end there, you know, you had an offensive play set up. It looked like you were going to a man that needed to get something going in the second half. He wasn't able to, but it looked like he might have been able to get to that basketball, but it was kind of what did you tell the players to do once that play materialized?
Well, at the end of the game, we have a home run play, and we work on it in practice. And we basically just went, I mean, they're already familiar with it. They know what to do. So we just, you know, Jerry diagrammed it for them again just to refresh them. And, yeah, it actually worked. We got a shot off, but, you know, it was the longest 3 seconds of my life, I think. Ball going up, and I thought it was going in. I mean, from the moment it left his hand, because we've had such a dream season. And, you know, that's what I talked to the guys about after the game, and all the coaches talked to them. It's not the final game and the final moment that makes the season. It's the whole process you go through, and having the friendships and being together and going through tough times, getting through it, having fun. Coach DeBus told some of the reporters that it's the guys that work hard, and it's not the final game. It's the relationships you develop, which just are great. And, you know, and the guys like last year's team lost heart, you know, in a difficult situation, and they come back and they say hi, and I think that's what it's all about. Basketball is like a little world, and then you get in the real world and you learn your lessons through basketball.
Well, you really do, and it looked like these players did. They played 31 games. You win 25. You got to have something going right there.
Definitely. I mean, the guys play hard. They play together. They play as a team. And that's all you can ask for. You know, great guys, and they play great basketball together.
Well, thanks for coming out in a difficult situation. You could have maybe got a chance to go to the pond, but you fall down by 2 points here against a very good University of San Diego team, high school team, and playing here at their home floor. You know, the crowd helps. But you brought a lot of people out here, too. The fan support was fantastic.
Definitely. We've had great fans all year, and, you know, they drive all the way out here to support us, and, you know, give all the credit to University because they played a tremendous game, and you know, they stopped some of our plays that we normally run, and, you know, play them again, we might win. Play them again, they might win. So they got the best of us tonight.
It was really matched up well in the contest. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
As the lights go down here at the University of San Diego, I tell you, this was an exciting game. It was just deafening at the end. Got a chance to speak with the Dons players, and Greg got a moment with one of the players for the Eagles and spoke with the coach as well. And I understand in speaking with you a moment ago that they just tried to go with a home run play there and try to see if they could catch a basket at the end. Was that their philosophy there?
That's really was their philosophy. And it can work, but the problem was the Dons brought out the big 6'9" man for John Fink for their team, and he really stood tall and made it tough for that inbounds play. But coming into this game, the Santa Margarita Eagles had a good game plan to match up whenever they could on defense with a 2-3 type of a defense, and offensively to try to put a lot of pressure on Josh Merrill, maybe get him in foul trouble. They weren't able to do that, and it came down to a close matchup in the end, and the Dons were able to outlast them with the bucket at the end.
I tell you, while you were tracking down the other team to try to get some post-game interviews, I tell you, I spoke with Coach Tomey, and he had that was his strategy to bring in John and just try to you know, he's so big physically that he's going to make it difficult for them to throw that long pass, and it worked out. So it was a good move by him, and I told him that, and he felt great about that. But I tell you what, the Dons have to feel great about their win. They win the semifinal here in a game that was close the whole way. That doesn't happen too often with the Dons. They usually blow teams away, so they have to feel great about that. For Greg Porter, George Langevin on camera, I'm Mike Benson saying, I hope you enjoyed all the action. As always, we enjoy bringing it to you. The Dons will go to the final in the Southern Regionals. Take care now. Bye-bye.